Mass Concerts presents Rocket Shock, October 14th through 16th at the DCU Center and Palladium in Worcester, featuring Trivia, Max and Eagle Cavalera, The Rocking Dead, Twisted, and more live on stage. Meet Malcolm McDowell, Scream's Matthew Lillard, and Skeet Ulrich, Danielle Harris, and stars from American Horror Story, Rob Zombie's 31, Sleepy Hollow, and many more. Enjoy panels, movies, shopping, tattooing, creating, and much more. Rocket Shock, October 14th through 16th at the DCU Center and Palladium in Worcester. Tickets available at the Palladium and DCU Center box office, FYE stores, and Ticketfly.com.
Info at rockandshock.com.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Another WWE Hall of Famer tonight, former tag team and intercontinental champion Tito Santana. Tito, thank you for joining us here on Extra.
You're welcome. It's good to be with you.
Everybody's talking about it. Sunday morning, April the 1st, the Wrestling Living Legends reunion. Not only will Tito Santana be in attendance, but another WWE Hall of Famer, the Superfly himself, Jimmy Snuka, the Iron Sheik, former WWF World Champion and Tag Team Champion. Axe and Smash Demolition reunite for the first time in the same building in 16 years. Rhino of the TNA Total Nonstop Action Group will be there as well. Autographs, photos, a question and answer session. It's going to be a wrestling fan's dream come true on Sunday morning, April the 1st. And I know, Tito, you're looking forward to being there.
Yes, I am. It's always a pleasure to get to meet fans and to get together with some of my old friends that I don't get to see very often anymore.
Well, Tito, it's going to be the morning of WrestleMania 23, the biggest event of the year at Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan. I mean, you must have an awful lot of WrestleMania memories considering you were at every one of the first 9 competing in action. I mean, we could go from top to bottom. WrestleMania 1, it was the Masked Executioner, Buddy Rose. How did it feel to be part of the event that started it all?
Well, it was a memory that'll never leave me. I remember just like it happened yesterday, just waiting, to go through the curtains and Vince McMahon, telling me to go out there and get the people off their butts and, make it exciting and, very important to get the show off to a good start. And I think I took it upon myself to try to go out there and do my best. And, it was a very, very successful night for everybody.
Sure. I mean, it must be quite a feather under your cap to be in the first match in WrestleMania history.
Well, yeah, because I think that the first match to me was that particular night, was just as important as the last match. It was very important for the show to get off on the right foot, and that was my responsibility. It didn't have the billing that the main event had, but I served a purpose, for WrestleMania 1.
Sure, it was a team effort to say the least. And then next year, speaking of teams, it was a tag team match. You and the Junkyard Dog took on the Funks in what was maybe the show stealer.
Yeah, we had a great match in Los Angeles. I believe it's where we wrestled the Funks. JYD, God bless his soul, was a very, very good friend of mine, and we had a lot of fans in California, and we went up against a great tag team, the Funks, and we do believe that we did steal the show there.
Oh, without a doubt. WrestleMania 2 might not go down as one of the most technically sound WrestleManias of the past 23, but your match with the Funks and certainly the tag team title match with the British Bulldogs and the Dream Team were both very, very good matches, and even though they weren't pushed as the main events, I believe they stole the show.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And then, Tito, as we go on down WrestleMania past, WrestleMania 3, probably the biggest event in the history of professional wrestling, 93,000 plus fans at the Pontiac Silverdome in Detroit, Michigan. You teamed up with the British Bulldogs to take on the WWF Tag Team Champions at the time, the Hart Foundation, Bret Hart and Jim Neidhart, along with Dangerous Danny Davis, referee turned wrestler. What was it like to be in front of that packed crowd in Detroit, Michigan?
Well, it was an experience that we had wrestled in front of big crowds, but nothing like 93,000 people. Earlier in the day, we we went to the very top of the bleachers, to see what the guys, because all day long there was guys taking pictures and doing things in the middle of the ring, and it was just unbelievable to see how small the ring looked, from the distance, and that somebody had a picture that was taken from the very top, and the ring looked really, really small. I don't think people got to see, very much of what was really taking place because they were so far away. But anybody who was part of WrestleMania 3 just went there, I believe, just to be part of history. It was a great, great feeling when we got on that. I forgot what kind of vehicle took us out there, but we did ride to the ring, and to see all those fans and all those cameras going off was something that it's hard to explain what you felt, but it was a great experience.
Sure, I remember having a conversation with Ed Cohen of the WWF, who helped in putting that event together. They were worried that because of the sunlight, the fans that were up in the upper part of the building where you were talking about wouldn't even be able to see the screens that were showing the video feed of the event because it was going to be so bright, so they might not be able to see anything at all. But luckily it was a cloudy day and that everything went well that night.
Yes, it did.
I remember Bobby Heenan another time, when he spoke of WrestleMania 3 on this program, he said he wasn't even thinking about the 93,000 fans that were in attendance. He was thinking about the millions that were watching it at the time pay-per-view was in its infancy, but certainly in the closed-circuit venues all across the country. It's just what a feeling it must have been to go through the curtain and just to feel that energy. I mean, that's probably the only way you can describe it, is an electric energy.
Yes, I mean, I concentrated more on the fans that were there, because we were used to wrestling in front of millions of fans, because wrestling was getting so big, and every wrestling show was reaching millions and millions of people. We knew that millions of people were watching us already. I just kept thinking of that was the biggest indoor event in the history of entertainment, especially sports entertainment.
Absolutely.
That's what was going through my mind.
That was an event I remember just as a kid. It was actually covered on, just about every news channel as a major sporting event. And you certainly don't see that in today's WrestleMania efforts. No,
I think that the business has changed. We were, I guess we were the pioneers of WrestleManias. We saw the biggest change that took place. I don't believe wrestling is the way it used to be, and I don't think it'll ever be again. It's 2007. It's a completely different ball game.
Sure, and that's a sad statement to make to a lot of fans that loved wrestling the way it was back then. But in just about every business, it certainly evolves over time. But luckily, there are products right now like the WWF 24/7 that fans can get on the cable for $7 a month. They get about 20 hours worth of classic footage each month, and between videotapes and some of the older DVDs they release, at least there's a way to relive your memories, even though you certainly won't be making new ones under the way things were in the 80s, at least.
Right. Yeah.
And even the Legends action figures, those are just as popular as the current Superstars action figures right now. And I think that says something about the Legends.
Yeah, I think that and I'm part of the group. The Legends are a group of wrestlers that will be kept alive by people like yourself that watched us when you were much younger and remember the difference. Remember how as far as I'm concerned, whenever I talk to a wrestling fan, they always talk about how much better a wrestler was back then than there is now.
Sure. And again, the fans are craving for it, and at least WWE is smart enough to deliver it, because I'm sure they're making a pretty penny off of those products, to say the least.
I'm sure they are.
Well, you already had a WWE, at least one Legends figure out, and I'm sure they're going to put out more from different eras in wrestling, and even maybe an El Matador figure down the line. As the fans, they just eat it up like ice cream in the summertime, I guess is a good analogy.
Yeah, I've got, I think, two different legends. I'm in a tri-pack with Marty Jannetty and Jimmy Anvil Neidhart. And from what I understand, they're going to be making a tag team of Rick Martel and myself as Strike Force.
Oh, and that was one of the most popular tag teams of the 1980s, so that I'm sure that'll be...
We had a good run in the WWF.
Right, WrestleMania 4, it was you and Rick Martel defending the WWF Tag Team Championships in Atlantic City against Axe and Smash Demolition, two gentlemen that will be appearing at the Wrestling Living Legends reunion. What were your thoughts about that night in Atlantic City, WrestleMania 4? Well, not one of the most fondly remembered WrestleManias, but you guys tore the house down.
Yeah, you know, it's... my career had mostly consisted of being a singles wrestler, and that was the first time that I had really gotten serious and got involved in a tag team situation, and became Strike Force with Rick Martel, and I really enjoyed being his partner because he was a very, very great competitor and a great, dependable wrestler. It was a great experience stepping into the ring because, you know, pretty much whenever we stepped into the ring and we had good opponents, you know, we would make it pretty hard for anybody to follow our match.
Right, I know a lot of people accuse Demolition of being rip-offs of the Road Warriors, but I thought they carved out their own, you know, successful career for themselves. What was it like to step into the squared circle with Axe and Smash?
They were I don't think they had a similar style as the Road Warriors. You know, they were a creation of Vince McMahon. You know, they had their own style, and they were very, very good. You know, ring generals, very good tag team opponents, and you know, really enjoyed having matches against them because you know it would be nice when you know, win, lose or draw, when you were going into a match, knowing that you were going to have a good match regardless of the end result, was a good feeling.
Sure, absolutely. You tore down the house on many of the house shows that followed up with WrestleMania 4 too, and some of the return matches. I know in Boston you did a six-man one time in 1988. It was you and the Ultimate Warrior against Demolition and Mr. Fuji, and those were solid matches up until when Rick Martel got injured.
Yeah, it was a nice run.
Sure was. In WrestleMania 5, after Rick Martel was injured, he returned. You took on the team of Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, who even had a brief run in WWF at the time. And were you happy to wind up splitting up with Martel at that point, or did you like the tag team style at that point?
I was enjoying being a partner. After the split up, I kind of had a bad taste left in my mouth as far as tag teams were. It was kind of nice to go back to being just Tito Santana, and I ended up having some real good matches against Rick Martel. You know, but it's pretty hard to depend on somebody else other than yourself. You know, you really can't. You know, you really can't depend on anybody. You know yourself. You know, if you have a business, nobody will take care of your business like you will.
Absolutely. Was it a long-term plan to put you together with Rick Martel, or was that kind of a backup plan when Tom Zink left the WWF in the summer of 1987? And then maybe were they looking for a stronger partner to put him with at that point, or was that something that they had considered all along?
No, it's. I think once you know his first situation with Can-Am didn't work out. I guess you know Vince McMahon didn't really have anything temporarily for me. And he probably figured out that I would make a good partner with Rick Martel, and you know whatever Vince wanted, you didn't argue much with him.
Well, and even the Strike Force music video from Pile Driver the album was a huge hit. I know Reno Chastain is a big fan of it, and it still goes around on videotape and DVD today. Girls and Cars, I believe, was the song.
Yeah.
Again, WrestleMania legend probably is going to rank up there. Who else had the string of WrestleManias in a row other than you? Maybe Howard Finkel is the only one that can top your record. WrestleMania 6, Toronto Skydome, another 60,000+ fans in attendance for Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior in a title-for-title match in the main event. What was it like to see WrestleMania leave the United States for the first time?
Well, it was, wrestling was pretty big in Canada. And I have always been a fan of Canada. I played football for the BC Lions in 1976. I like coming to Canada. I have a lot of fans, and the only difference as far as I'm concerned between Canada and the United States is the border. The people are the same. As a matter of fact, I think the people in Canada are very, very friendly. Friendlier than some places that we go to in the States. I always enjoyed coming out and wrestling in Canada.
Sure, absolutely. Canada is always a great place to visit, especially hot wrestling towns like Toronto or Montreal and places like that. And then you had the next year, WrestleMania was supposed to take place at the LA Coliseum. However, what WWF said was due to security reasons, what others say were due to poor ticket sales. It was moved indoor to the LA Sports Arena for the main event that year of Hulk Hogan and Sergeant Slaughter. From a wrestler talent standpoint, were you disappointed that you weren't able to perform in such a tremendous crowd?
Well, I think that it was because of poor sales. We'll never get the truth, but
right.
Even when they moved it indoors, the building indoors still wasn't a sellout. We still had some empty seats. I don't know why there was a lack of interest in that match, but I don't think that it was one of our strongest WrestleManias. Going in, I think WrestleMania 8 kind of took a dip. I'm not. I can't prove that, but just how I felt.
Sure, I think the whole Sergeant Slaughter angle where he turned on America, I think that just left a bad taste in a lot of folks' mouths. Burning the flag on television and things like that. It went beyond, what you'd usually see on a professional wrestling television program to something that would really, rub people the wrong way watching at home.
Right. I mean, I've always said that, wrestling fans will only swallow so much garbage. After a while, they're going to throw it up. And I think that was one of the things that they just didn't want to eat it. They didn't want to swallow it. They threw it up. They didn't want to. They didn't. Although it's entertainment, I don't think the wrestling fans appreciate being insulted. They know entertainment, and some things, they're not going to buy.
Right, and I think that's a problem why so many longtime fans have kind of turned their back on the industry as it is today in 2007.
I think so. It's they keep talking about how right now I guess it's making a comeback, but I don't think it's as strong as it used to be. I mean, we used to go to Madison Square Garden and sell it out every month.
Right.
And now they go maybe once or twice a year, and if they were to go every month, I don't think they could sell out a building like that, like we used to do that, years ago.
No, I guess there's pros and cons for the way the business has evolved, but that's certainly one thing I missed when I was a kid in elementary school, was to get on the train every month and go into the Boston Garden and see the various matches with feuds that were well put together and built up over a long period of time. And everything now is just so rushed, and
right.
The matches, they don't sell because on television there isn't enough time. The storylines aren't sold long enough because there's a pay-per-view long enough, and it doesn't leave a lasting impression in people's minds like it did in the proverbial good old days when you were one of the top stars of the WWF.
Well, I think years ago there was a definite good guy, definite bad guy. People want to cheer for somebody, and now I don't watch wrestling very much now, but from what I understand, and I do stop and watch what's going on. I mean, a good guy is a good guy one week, and next week he could be a bad guy, and people don't know who to root for. The people are looking for heroes. They're looking for people to look up to. And I don't think they have anybody that they can really cheer for long periods of time anymore, because 1 week they're good guys, one week they're bad guys.
Right. And the consistency isn't there a lot of the times, and there's no long-term plans for a lot of these people for the fans to get behind. It's almost like in Major League Baseball, where it's hard to root for teams for a certain length of time because the players are gone with a year or two because of free agency. Sure.
Yep.
Well, Tito, we're running just about out of time on this interview right now. I mean, we didn't even get to scrape the barrel of WrestleMania 8, WrestleMania 9, your big return at WrestleMania 20 when you became a WWE Hall of Famer. I guess to get those type of answers, the fans are going to have to come on out to wrestling's Living Legends reunion Sunday, April the 1st in Windsor, just before WrestleMania 23. What a complete day it would be. Legends in the morning, the stars of the new generation that night at Ford Field in Detroit. I have to ask this question, Tito, as I ask of anybody. Do you have any memorable stories of one of the headliners, the Iron Sheik?
I really can't say that I have any memorable stories about the Iron Sheik, because him and I were not friends. We guys that hung around with him are the ones that, from what I understand, he was a pretty comical guy.
Well, that's a way to put it.
There's some stuff that only the Iron Sheik could have done, and. And you'd hear it in the dressing room, but I never was around to, I didn't hang around with the Sheik, and so I couldn't tell you firsthand,
well,
some of those stories.
That was probably a good idea for your health and your sanity, because from all the dealings I've had with the man over the past few years, believe me, you made out well, Tito. But it's going to be a fun day, Sunday, April 1st. We can't encourage the fans to come on out. Fans from all over the world will be coming into the Detroit area for WrestleMania. Before you see the John Cenas and the Undertakers today, come on out and meet the legends. Again, Axe and Smash Demolition will be in the same building together for the first time since Survivor Series 1990. The Iron Sheik, the always colorful Sheik, will be on hand. Superfly Jimmy Snuka, Rhino of Total Nonstop Action, and this man right here, one of the all-time greats of this industry, Tito Santana. There'll be autographs, photographs, question and answer session, and more. It's going to be a session you're not going to want to miss. Tito, any final thoughts about April 1st?
No, I'm just looking forward, and one of the things that I like about what I have been doing since I retired from the WWF is the chance to get to meet the fans and get to answer any questions and get to take personal pictures and spend a little time. Because when I was with the WWF, we were big stars, and the WWF didn't allow the fans to get close to us. And now that I'm doing this, it gives us a chance to get to know the fans and to get to hear how how they think of us and what they think of us, and it makes it more personal and lets us appreciate the fan a little bit more.
Sure, it's one thing to go to a wrestling event and take that all in, but to actually meet these superstars that you know and love from television, that's a memory that'll last a lifetime. And Tito, thank you so much for joining us here on Extra. We're looking forward to see you April 1st, and we'll be back after this brief timeout. Thank you, Tito.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Arriba.